Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture.
And today is the WhatCulture Christmas party.
Yay!
So to celebrate, this is the news. Go on, do it, it's Christmas.
This is the news.
Yes, cheers.
Anyway, story number one. WrestleMania.
Don't like beer.
You don't like beer? Okay, cool. WrestleMania 35. It's still 4 months away, but already it looks like the card is starting to come together behind the scenes. We've heard talk of course, Becky versus Ronda Rousey potentially as a main event. Maybe even Becky versus Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair or Freeway. There's all kinds of stuff going around. Yesterday we spoke about potential Universal title plans. I've realised I've just said Freeway. The comment section is going to be very spicy. Okay. Anyway, new story today coming out of the No Holds Barred podcast on the Barn Burner Network. They reckon that AJ Styles has a big match lined up against a fellow SmackDown superstar, Adam Wilborn. Who do you think it's going to be?
I was going to say Elton John until you said SmackDown Superstar, to be honest. He's been booked in a few WrestleMania matches recently.
The Rocket Man, not the Piano Man. The Rocket Man.
Andrade?
No, it's Randy Orton.
Yes! I quite like that.
Randy Orton, that could be quite good. I mean, they've only had one singles match before. It was the number one contenders match just before WrestleMania 33, which led to that pretty awful Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt bug thing, whatever that was supposed to be. It was a good match, though. I'm sure they'll do well at WrestleMania.
And Randy Orton is on an absolute tear at the moment right now.
Yeah.
I'm loving his character that he's been doing this year. And I think, a build to a match against a megastar like AJ Styles when he's been going after legends and wanting to, re-establish this legend killer status. It works for me.
So I have questions. He went after Jeff Hardy's ear, he went after Ty Dillinger's finger, he's gone after Rey Mysterio's mask. Is he going to go after AJ Styles' hair?
No.
No?
There's only one thing you go after with AJ Styles, and you just watch every opponent's face. You go after AJ Styles' dick. It's that obvious. It's right there.
Wear a cup, you stupid idiot.
I don't know what he's going to do to it. Feel free to let us know in the comments. I'm sure they will anyway. Should we move on?
Please.
Yeah, let's move on. There is a big row going on Twitter at the moment, and surprise, surprise, it features Becky Lynch. She has been the queen of Twitter this year, and Corey Graves thought it was a good idea to poke the bear.
Remember when he was good?
Yeah, not a good idea. He basically had a pop at her. She responded by calling him Bobby Heenan Light, which is almost a compliment.
Yeah. No, it's a massive compliment for Corey Graves.
I don't really want to go into what they've said on Twitter. You can go and look that up yourself. What I want to talk about is it a good idea, A, for literally anyone in WWE to try and go up against Becky Lynch because she just buries them? And B, shouldn't they just sort of let her be because she's doing amazing work promoting herself on there and trying to have a go at her when it's not in storyline? It's kind of a bad idea.
It's kind of dumb. I think a lot of these Twitter wars and so forth are planned behind the scenes and they come together and they plan things out, but this one had a little air of just Corey Graves trying to be smart and getting his ass kicked, really. I mean, his reply was pretty pathetic. It was something along the lines of, it's hard to go full Heenan when your boss is watching. So not only is he insinuating that his boss is not watching Becky Lynch, who is the best thing in the goddamn company.
What are you doing?
But he's also insinuating that he's capable of being anywhere near as good as Bobby Heenan was. Now, Corey Graves used to be excellent when he was in NXT, and he has his moments on the main roster. But he's a bit of a prick now, isn't he?
He's a bit of a bully, a bit of a prick. Has a go at Renee all the time.
Pretty creepy when it comes to Mandy Rose. I know it's an act.
Yeah, and it's not that much of an insult to say you're not Bobby Heenan. There was only one, and his name was Bobby Heenan.
Probably the greatest color commentator and manager of all time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of crazy. Anyway, from one Twitter spat to another. Jimmy Jacobs, who used to work for WWE until he got fired for posing for a picture with the Elite. Bit stupid, that.
Yeah.
He leapt to the defense of the writers. Brian Alvarez, friend of the channel, tweeted out yesterday talking about the ratings and how they slumped again, calling it an embarrassment. Jimmy Jacobs replied, and I'm just going to quote this tweet, although not verbatim, because there's a nasty word in it. Writing a 3-hour wrestling TV show every single week is effing hard. Now, this obviously sparked a massive conversation about the state of the show, whether or not 3 hours is too long. The most notable reply came from Seth Rollins, and I will quote this one. That's the one thing I don't think people understand. 5 hours of live TV every week, Add in all the extraneous variables that affect the final outcome, and it's a modern miracle that the shows come together as well as they do. Now, Adam Wilborn, simple question: 3 hours, too much?
Yes.
Yes.
There's like SmackDown is better than Raw every week, and one of the reasons for that is because they cram all this excitement into 2 hours or an hour and a half if you take out all the adverts. Look, I get it. 3 hours it's not a decision the writers have made. It's been forced on them. They want all the ads, they want all that sort of thing, and they do try and fit all of it in. But it's just too much. It's like you say, Seth Rollins talking about that writing for WWE for 5 hours a week, and then you've got NXT and all the other stuff on top of that. Us consuming it, I do a Raw and SmackDown review every week as part of our podcast, and I have to re-watch it because I forget the stuff that happens. I don't never forget anything that happens on SmackDown because they're usually about sort of 5 major segments that you need to remember. There's so much crammed into Raw, and yet they still can't get people over. Also, if Vince McMahon can rewrite Raw in a day, writers should be able to do better. Yeah,
I think not to dwell on this too long, but perhaps a bigger problem might be the fact that we have this writing team of 400 people and they're all catering to the whims of a crazy, eccentric billionaire who just throws all their rubbish in the bin and then writes his own bollocks.
I'm sure they could write 3 hours of Raw, but they're writing it for Vince.
Exactly.
And they go, oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah, no, it's not got any little people in. Vince won't like it. Sorry.
Story number 4.
Story number 4. Bubba Ray Dudley has revealed he was this close to bringing his amazing Bully Ray character into WWE. I think he said that basically the plan was that when him and Devon said goodbye, he was going to turn on him and introduce the Bully Ray character to the WWE audience. I didn't see a lot of it in TNA, but the stuff that I did, it looked really good. It was a really good reinvention. I think that could have worked in WWE.
It was tremendous. The Bully Ray character was one of the reasons I went back to TNA for a while. Bubba got himself in some tremendous shape. I mean, he's always been good on the microphone and stuff, but he really took it to a next level. He was a really compelling, three-dimensional villain for a while. It got a little bit murky towards the end there, as things tend to do in TNA, or did before Don Callis and Scott D'Amore became the boys. But it would have been awesome, wouldn't it? Because like the Dudley boys got a few pops on their last run, but it was just kind of like a nostalgia run. They didn't really do anything. It was just kind of eh.
Yeah, I got to see them at a live event. Got to see them put one of the New Day through a table. That was enjoyable. But yeah, I think that could have been a really understandable, logical step for him. And he could have brought Brooke Hogan with him as well, because obviously they got married, didn't they?
That would have been good.
Right, let's move on to some of your Twitter questions. We have got a great first question, and it comes from Mark Gallagher.
What other cruiserweights do you want to integrate into the main roster? Will 2 or 5 make a splash or dive on Raw or SmackDown Live?
Well.
So, new rule, everyone has to sing their questions going forward, because that was
tremendous.
Epic. What are the cruiserweights you'd like to integrate into the main roster, Andy Murray?
It's a tough question, actually, because while there's a lot of great wrestlers on the 205 Live roster, it's a work rate-centric brand. There's not a lot of character, personality-driven stuff going on there, and they'd be splitting into that world on Raw or SmackDown. Now, that's not to say these guys aren't capable of doing that, but you've got to look at guys like Buddy Murphy, who's a great wrestler, but he also has a very strong, grumpy heel character, and he had all the weight cut stuff. I think Drew Gulak would be quite an interesting one.
I love Drew Gulak.
The PowerPoint stuff was really funny, and when he became a more serious grappler and started integrating both of those, it was equally compelling. I think both could work.
Yeah, I think it would work really well. And he's had a shot at the main roster before, but they sort of paired him with Alicia Fox. But I'm biased, but I'd love to see Noam Dar back on the main roster.
Scotland's own.
I love him. I think
King of Iron Brew.
Another bloke who's amazing on Twitter as well.
Yeah,
if they could integrate that into his character, that could really work. Right, let's move on to our next question. It is from Ray Hughes, who simply says, what are the best workers in WWE?
Wow, that is tough, because there are dozens of world-class workers in WWE. The ones that come to mind: AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Andrade Almas, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. Almost everyone on this roster is really good.
We mentioned him yesterday, and he's obviously not currently on the main roster, but Kevin Owens, for all the flack he gets, he's a brilliant worker. Asuka. I mean, if you're not a very good worker, you usually get found out in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, there's a working standard. The people who don't meet that working standard really look out of place. I love Elias as a character, but when he steps into the ring,
Everything beforehand's great, and I think
Yeah.
he could, with a bit of pun work,
Yeah.
he could really go places. But yeah, you could just tell like AJ Styles.
Daniel Bryan.
How have you got Daniel
Bryan.
He's all right.
Becky
Isn't he?
Lynch. Like, there's so many.
Basically, the majority of the
Yeah.
WWE roster.
Everyone apart from Nia Jax.
Yes, she is a very, very bad worker.
Good working punches, Phil.
Yep. Let's move on to our final question. Comes from CMJ Flaners, I'm going to go with, who says, worst pay-per-view of all time, any company.
Oh, wow. So, I love terrible wrestling pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I think I like watching bad wrestling pay-per-views.
I'd rather watch a bad pay-per-view than a sort of mediocre pay-per-view.
So the two that always step out for me, and they're both so bad, they're great territory. One, WCW New Blood Rising, which of course had Judy Bagwell on a pole, and Tank Abbott in a crop top with the nipples cut out. It wasn't pretty. Heroes of Wrestling is the worst wrestling show of all time. It's on YouTube if you've never seen it. It's a nostalgia show, all these old guys. I can't really describe how much of a failure it is in this short time scale. Yokozuna is about 700 pounds. Jake the Snake is drunk and like puts the snake between his legs and does that. And like, you need to watch it. It's hilarious.
Yes. I'm going to go for some slightly more obvious ones. WWE-wise, you can't overlook December to Dismember, can you?
Oh, God.
It was about, 2 hours? Which, if you think about that in modern pay-per-view standards...
That's not even so bad. It's good. It's just terrible.
and then you have the Extreme Elimination Chamber, where everyone goes, oh, what? We've lost Sabu, the main ECW guy, well, one of the main ECW guys. Don't worry, Hardcore Holly's going to replace him. And everyone goes, well, it's okay, don't worry, because CM Punk's in there, eliminated first.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of TNA pay-per-views, but I'm going to go Victory Road. Is it 2011 with Jeff?
Oh, the Jeff Hardy one.
Jeff and Sting. And people often think of that, but I think just before that match, there was a singles match between Rob Van Dam and Mr. Anderson, which went to a double count-out. And if you rewatch it, there's a chant from the crowd, which got half of the crowd go, restart the match. And it's such a bad match, the other half go, no.
Fair. And finally, a little bit of banter, a little bit of bantent, if you will, to close this content. So, Vince McMahon steps into the ring every now and then. Surprisingly good wrestler, plays his role well.
Yes, as Mr. McMahon, yeah. As
Mr. McMahon. So, have you ever wondered what might happen if Vince McMahon just, was a luchador?
What?
So, Sergeant Slaughter, of all people, has given an interview quite recently, and I'll just read his quote. I've got a lot of Vince McMahon stories I can't tell. He was never able to become a wrestler because his father wanted him to be behind the microphone so he could control things a little better. One night we were driving in the car together and Vince said, one thing I really miss, Sarge, is getting in the ring. And Sarge said, you want to get in the ring? Go put a mask on. So apparently he did this on a house show.
What?
Vince McMahon wrestled in a match on a house show. In a mask, sorry. What?
Because Vince McMahon's got a fairly...
He's a beast.
He's an obvious body type, so you must look at that and go, is that Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
In a mask.
What kind of mask do you think it was? Do you think it was like a lucha mask, or do you think it was maybe like a Vader match? Vader, of course, the second best big man in this business.
I really hope it was either like a Vader or a sort of Mankind mask. That would really make me happy.
Mask.
That'd make me so happy.
What about a Crater mask?
That is a mental image that is going to stay with me for quite some time. Right, well, let us know your thoughts on that and all of our news stories today in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can check out some more of our recent videos here, as well as our new Wrestling podcast. All you need to do is search for WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes or Spotify. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from WhatCulture.
And I've been Tony Bone from WhatCulture.
And we are off for the WhatCulture Christmas party.
Didn't bring me a beer, did he?
Do you want a bit of this? Go have a bit of this.
Absolutely not.
Okay, we'll see you soon.